everybody who's not here yet. Get that thing in the cradle. Oh, I just heard that thing snap. That ain't good. Hold on. Grr. Well, it's going to hold. We're going to do our best. This thing's getting a little bit chintzy. I need to stop buying sheep, y'all. It's a good thing nobody's in here to see this part. So, this thing's fighting me. That's the problem. I don't know why it's fighting me, so bear with me just a second. We're going to go turn this light off back here. It's going to bleed us out. I just noticed that. Try to get a good look on here with the good lighting. So, yeah, let's do it this way, too. That always helps. There we go. Put our colors. Give me 1 second to pop this back in here, and then I'm going to tell you what we're going to talk about today. I think that will do it. Sometimes it pops free, and then it's a problem. And then it doesn't want to hold steady. And then I got to, get it to do its thing again. There we go. Fixed it. All right. I am back. Last time we did that Q&A, y'all seemed to really like it, so I thought, hey, why don't we do that again? Clean out that camera lens. That'll give us a little bit better lighting. Maybe coming this way. I don't know. So, it is what it is. So, I thought we'd do another one. There. See, I like it when it does that. And then gets up, it gets washed out. Maybe. Oh, too much. Nah, we'll go with that. It's going to make me look like a zombie. Oh, well, is what I don't really care. He ain't here because I'm pretty, so we all know that. But I do have hair still. All right, so we're going to do a reptile Q&A, and I'm going to talk a little bit, kind of give you a little bit of a preview of what our next video series we started is going to be about. I actually finished it. It's only going to be a two-parter, and it's already done, and I'm kind of excited about it. Some of you will hate it. Some of you will like it. Frankly, I don't care. I kind of do them for my cathartic experience anyway. So, and then we'll do some Q&A, but I am going to limit this video to no more than I screwed off for 2 minutes. So we're going to limit this video to about 35 minutes, no more than that. And then I'm going to have to dip out so I can go over to Patreon side for a little while and explain to them when we're going to drop our next list. And I'm really excited about our next list. Actually, some cool stuff on there, and kind of go from that route. So anyway, that's the plan. Let me try something really quick. Maybe I need a different camera angle. Is that better? I don't know. Is that the wide angle one? Let's see here. I'm just curious. Is there more door there? Okay, that was the wide angle. That's the wide angle. That's the non-wide angle. Let's go with that one. That probably looks a little more realistic. A little less fish-eyed. So, what do you guys think of some great reptile questions to ask me? Preferably snake-related, because if you ask me about this stuff, I don't know what I'm talking about. And I'll just, make up something. No, I won't. I'll just tell you what I'm talking about. Let me tell you about this next video series. So, I'll get to that, Brendan. That's an awesome question, actually. And, but let me give you that little preview I promised first. We just filmed a series all in one day, so it all's going to flow nicely together. And it's kind of a Matt Rant series, which I miss doing every now and then. And it's really talking about the state of the ball python market. As some people I've noticed through Facebook and things like that, and things I'm hearing in rumblings, are starting to get nervous about the market with saturation, with other issues that you're going to see in the market, and all of those things. We really discuss that in depth. We then dig into some of the market dynamics that are going to happen. And I've never heard of a GTP ball python cross. I've heard of carpet and GTP things. So yeah, and that's and I had to struggle not to take a victory lap when I did it too, Jojo, because the thing about it is what's happening. If you guys know and you look back in the chapters from before, right? I literally said it was going to happen about 1.5 years ago. I said this is where we're going to be. This is where we're heading. And a lot of people said, "Oh, I'm crazy. It's not going to be that way. Blah 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 blah. It'll be great. It'll never have any of this." I told y'all we were going to be here. Here we are. So that video is going to come out soon about that. And then and hold on to those questions. There's a lot of good ones. I want to get to them, but give me a second. Let me get a second to get this preview, and then we'll do questions. I promise. And the first one's about the normal. I'm going to hit that one first. And then you have to re-ask the other ones, I'm going to forget about them. But we're going to talk about that. And in some points, what I'm going to ask for you to do is stay with me for the whole video series when they come out, right? Because it may seem a little doomy gloomy in the first one, but it's not. If you stay with me for the whole series, it should hopefully give you confidence, direction, and some ways that you can navigate all this and come out on top. Because at the end of the day, I want you to be successful. One of the differences is I want you to be successful, not so I can leech that success. And what I mean is, I think sometimes in this market, when it's going hot, in the interest of making money and selling, you tell people it's going to stay hot all the time, right? And they buy that false sense and they feel like they got sold a bag of magic beans. We don't do that here. I'm going to tell you the God's truth every time I can, because that's what I think it should be done. So watch for those videos, and I'm going to give you a little hint. I don't think we're in that much trouble. And that may seem weird. I think there are people in a lot of trouble. I think there are some breeders who are going to have a lot of struggles in the next year, 2 years. I don't think I'm one of them. And it's not because I'm immune. It's because of how things were set up. I am prepared for a market downturn. You can be too. I'm going to tell you how to do it in those videos. So enough with that. Let's get to the questions. The first question I saw was, is it worth starting my breeding business with a normal? I'll tell you, I wouldn't start with a normal. I'll be blunt. Now, it depends what you're doing, right? If you're just wanting to breed for a hobby and you're not wanting to build a business, then go for it. There's nothing wrong with breeding a normal. I'd hit up a few local places first, see if they, buy my babies from me, like at a pet shop or something like that, or something of that scenario, because you're not going to get a lot of money on the normals. But if you're just wanting to experience breeding or try breeding, there's nothing wrong with a normal. Now, would I ever suggest beginning a business that you're intending to use to make money, basing it off normals? It's a long road, y'all. That's not going to be how I'd ever suggest doing it. It'd be more for just fun. I'm going to tell you it's good to have normals, right? Breed curious, that's right. It's good to have a few normals in your collection, or at least one, or some single gene recessives. You will use those more than you think when you get something you're wanting to prove it out by throwing to that normal and then seeing what all comes out. That's where they're great. The single gene recessive can do that as well. I can take, a multiple gene male, throw it to a straight exanthic female, and I'm going to get het exanthics, but I'm going to see what all genes are in there, hopefully. So that is where I would say the normals are strong. All right, and I am ready for more questions now. So my ball python got stung by a scorpion, now seems strange. I hope she doesn't die. James, I honestly have no idea how those two would react together, or I'm not even sure how that happened. Do you live in an area where there's scorpions and one just got in there? Or, that's never heard of that happening. But I would say that Anna's on the right point. If you're seeing what you believe to be an envenomation that's caused that ball python to have problems, I would say a vet trip, if you want to make sure it's okay, is in order. And I'm sorry you're going through that, man. That sucks. However it happened, it sucks. That's a bummer. So, what is my favorite morph and why? Lorena, my favorite morph is definitely exanthic, and it's just because it's the first one that got my attention in combos, and it was really the first morph I truly lusted after, right? So that's my favorite one. And it's a simple morph. It's old recessive, right? But it's my favorite one. I saw a question coming in that says, that's a funny name. The name, I'm definitely for me, because I'm not into it, but I'm way too good looking to be your boyfriend. It's a funny name. Do you still have that boa that you rescued? We do, actually. It doesn't live here in facilities, so that boa lives at Kurt's house, and that is the boa that is the mother to all the babies that we have. So, and then Madison says, I have a snake that was involved in a power outage. She was the only survivor out of 30 snakes. She seems healthy and is close to breeding size. Safe to breed her, you think? Well, only a survivor out of 30. I would want to know, how long ago, and I'm kind of finishing the question and picking the next one. So if I don't get to your question, don't spam me, but feel free to ask it again. I don't want to know how long ago that power outage happened. If it's been a long time ago, then it's fine. If it's pretty recent, you might consider giving that thing a season off. Also, how's it feeding? Is it gaining weight? Is all of its functions going? If it's at a good weight and it's pounding food and everything looks good, there's really nothing that would stop you from doing it. But if it had a near death, you might give it give it a year. And then Ricky Reed said, do you ever split clutches with anyone? If so, how do you decide who gets once what? So I have split clutches before, and we attempted to split one just last year, actually. So the way I do that is we have come to an agreement before we ever start the breeding, right? So I don't want to have 6 eggs and then be trying to figure it out, have somebody feel like they're getting ripped off. So if somebody's like, hey, do you want to use my male for this? You know, I'm like, sure, what do you think is fair out of that? You know, I maybe pick of the litter or whatever, because a female is more valuable. And that's usually what I go with when I'm borrowing a male. I usually offer up either first or second pick of the litter. And then that's kind of how I do that. If I'm giving a male out, that's probably what I would be seeking, is pick of the litter, or at least second pick of the litter. You depend on what the project is, so, or what snake is what, you know. If I'm using, yeah. So that's kind of where I go with, but you need to figure that out before you start the deal. You don't want to be figuring out the terms after it's already going down. That's a recipe for bad feelings and bad shit. What do you think of hybrid snakes? Could they have any market value? So yeah, I think they can. I'm not a huge fan of hybridization. Okay, so let me preface that. If I do hybridization, I kind of like naturally occurring hybrids. Now, all of the carpet pythons here, not all, but the vast majority are hybrid in some sort. And that's because, you know, a jungle jag or a jungle carpet is different than a true diamond python, and it's different than an Aranjaya. I mean, those are not just locales, those are different. Most of those have been intermixed through here, so they are technically a hybridization of different types of carpet python. You know, you have a lot of angry balls, which is a ball python, Angolan python. You have burn balls. I mean, you have all these things that people do. For me, carpandros, you know, I prefer things that would occur naturally if I can stick to that. I don't think there's a huge market for hybrids personally, you know, and the only hybrids we're really working on is obviously carpet pythons, right? And then I am also working on Gaboon to Rhino, which is also a naturally occurring hybrid, which is Gabino. Is there a huge market? I don't know, because then you start getting the percentages of blood. If I breed a ball python to an Angolan python and I make an angry ball, it's going to be 50% ball python, 50% Angolan python. I breed that out, and now we're doing like a 75-25, and just kind of waters down, and you kind of have a bunch of mutts. So it's not my thing, but there's a market for it. I'm just not going to tell you it's a huge market. So Jeff Wessel, welcome back, Jeff! Says, just because you don't see a lock black label doesn't mean it didn't happen. So that was Jeff answering the question for me. So, and he is exactly right. We do track our locks. We do check on them daily to see if anybody's locked up. But just because you don't see it doesn't mean it didn't exist. You know, sometimes you got a 2-pump chump who gets in there bam, especially come with new males, and you don't ever see it. So, but witnessing one is better, because then you know, right? Now, I'd say if you have a male, you're breeding to 3 or 4 females, and you never see a lock, you might want to look at maybe slowing him down and trying a different male. So, all right, let's see what else we've missed in here. Well, any dinosaur is going to be a relative to a snake far enough down the line. And then, what would you do if you pair a female with the sire you want and don't see any locks every time you do? Oh, that was the one we just did. So yeah, I'd use a backup male eventually. Hybrid snakes. Like, man, we're kind of caught up. Let's see if we got any more. So fire away. I hope you do bleed. Just kidding. I hope you don't bleed. Don't get bit. Stop getting bit. So yeah. And if you guys have any questions too about market, I will answer those with this caveat. I will not spoil what we've said in the video. So I may just tell you have to wait and see. That's not me being an asshole. That's me simply just wanting that video to be out there. What would be some good morphs to start out with if I get into breeding? Well, I mean, there's going to be a couple factors in that. That's a great question. So the first factor is, how much are you wanting to invest? I would tell everybody who's going to invest in ball pythons, only invest. Don't go into major debt. Don't go cash your 401k. Don't go do any of those things like that to invest in ball pythons. I don't think that's a wise move. But what is a small investment or a large investment to one person may be a small investment to another. So without knowing how much you're wanting to spend, it's very hard to say that. What I would tell you to do if you wanted to get into it is try to buy 2 to 3 females the first year. Then you're going to add a male later. Oh, Thank you, Somerville Serpents. I will get yours in just a second, I promise. Let me answer this question, then we'll get right to that pied question, because I love that pied question. So, what's going to happen, though, is like, you get those 3 females and then buy the male you want, keeping within the budget that you set. Pick something you like. Okay, don't worry so much about how much it's going to make down the road. That's important, but it's not the end all be all, and it changes anyway. So I think the best thing to do is go through, look at morphs, find what you like and what fits in your budget, and then go from there. So let's get to that question about pieds. And it says, do you think the pied market is dead, or a good way to put my foot in the business making some pied combos? So Somerville Serpents, I don't think the pied market will ever die personally. I think the pied is one of the, in a single gene form, one of the most beautiful snakes that exist. Probably that and like Tofino was probably 2 of my favorite, just single genes. And there's always going to be a market for those pretty snakes. They're at that price point where people will buy them just as a pet. And sometimes we forget about those pet markets, right? Most of us were pet people at one point in time, not breeders. So let's keep those people in mind. They become breeders, they grow our market, they grow our business. They're very, very important to the hobby. So they're always going to fit that niche at that point in time, or niche, or niche, or however we're going to say it this week. So no, I don't think the pied market's dead at all. When I first started getting the pied market, or the ball python market, I want to say pieds were going like $350 to $400. Now they're going about $300 to $350 last time I priced them. So I don't think, the pied is going to tank much further than that. Pied will always have a strong market. You're always going to get a decent wage for them. Now, when you start getting to pied combos, pied is not my favorite snake to combo. Pick your combos carefully, because the pied is so overpowering with some combos. Like if you do spider, you get that discolored head and an all white body. And for me, for a pied to look really good and for it to sell well on that pet market, right, it needs that color, it needs that orange. What's going on from the Philippines, and it needs all those things to play together. I like mine banded, all of those things, right? So when you are picking your mix, pick something that you think is going to enhance those colors and make that a prettier animal. Yellow belly is great with pied. It's pretty subtle, but it makes a really nice pied. There's other things out there, of course, the panda pieds, but don't do the super cine. I do a suma pied and add another gene on top, but just be selective. Think of what's going to improve it, not just, hey, I want to put this on pied. That would be my advice if you're going to get into the pied market, especially if you're going to specialize down that pied road. So, and I think Somerville, it's one of my favorite genes. Xanthic is number 1, but pied was one of those things that, you could take a pied and you can put it in somebody's hand, and they're always going to go, oh, there's their first time holding a snake. It's mind boggling. I still grab them, especially as babies, and show them to new people and just watch their face like go into disbelief that this is a real thing. Because most of those people haven't done a lot of research online. They just showed up, or people who come to the house for whatever reason, especially when this was actually in my home versus in its own facility. My wife's friends would come over and they'd be like, oh, you have snakes. They'd make that face. Yeah, you want to see them? Oh, I don't know. And then before long, they're holding a pipe. It's just kind of how it works. And it's welcome. It's Nicolovia TV, I think. Hi from the Philippines. I'm glad to have you here. Philippines is a place I do want to visit for sure. My grandparents did a lot of mission work there. We always bring stuff back when I was a kid. So it's on my bucket list. What morph would you recommend to get now that would be a good morph to have in the future? Well, tell you what's going to happen on that one. That's a loaded question. Now I'm going to bite my tongue because that part would ruin part of the upcoming video series. To get right now, actually, I haven't checked the price of Monsoon, but I don't know if it's going to be a good one. And it's a good morph. I say it's a good one to get right now sometime. I don't know if that's where I'd it depends on what you're wanting to invest, what level of that too. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Blitz. I don't think that's been worked enough. I've seen that come up, and I don't care if you're doing Blitz, Trick, or Hurricane. I think all that is going to be pretty cool. If you're just looking to get, if you're just starting out, I would avoid any of the new unproven stuff. That includes my new unproven stuff for now, unless you have that money to take that risk and you want to take that risk on something like that. So, but I don't know, man. I'm a staple person, right? I think if you don't have your staples, then you're missing something. So I really like Suma, and I look more at, rather than look at a morph, okay, like whether it's Monsoon or whether it's Blitz or whether it's Exantic, I look at what I think the market really wants, what I think is really doing good. And it seems to me that the market's had a pivot in the last several years, and what's really um, blows people's minds now is really dark, going to that jet black, kind of the opposite of a bell, right? The bells are still hotcakes, don't worry about it. That's where I think the market is really pushing. So I think getting into Suma, which is super mahogany, getting your GHI going, because I'm looking for animals that are going to be more than the sum of their parts. And those are animals that when you have a GHI Suma, it's more than the sum of its parts, right? So that is some things I think can be good. You can layer in your black pastel in there to do some really cool stuff. And then you need to have some recessives. If you are running a breeding program and you have no recessives, you're fucking it up. Get some recessives. I don't think you want to be recessive free. Absolutely not. Martok said Raven. He sent me some pictures of Raven stuff recently. It's really cool. And it's also very dark. So, but I would pick based on where I think the market is going to want down the road. So those combos will stay at a good value, because any single gene is going to drop. Okay, it's going to do it. Some people tell you it'll never happen. There's also the person selling it to you. I'm going to tell you it's going to happen. It's happened throughout the entirety of our history. It's going to continue. But those combos, when they look good, that's where it's at. So I have an OD Inchy 100% Desert Ghost. It was a proven breeder when I bought him. He hasn't locked for me no matter what I try to do to get him to. So DJ's Constrictors, there's a video I did a long time ago. I'm going to give you the 3 highlights of it that will help you get that male to lock. Step 1, date one of your other males who is a good breeder, save his shed, keep it moist, throw it in there in the pairing. So when you pair the male who won't lock, put him with the female, throw the very fertile, very locking male's shed in there. Step 1. If that doesn't get the job, let's go to level 2. Take a male who is good, pop him, get a sperm plug, get that on your finger. You can wear gloves if you're grossed out. Take that to the female you want the new male to breed, wipe that sperm plug down her back. It's kind of disgusting. Just leave it on there like a booger, and then put the non-locking male in there. You're trying to kind of scent that. You're trying to kind of get those hormones going by other males being there, and he's trying to get one in too. They're wired for that. Step 3, if that doesn't work, this is kind of the extreme step. Take that tub or cage, whatever you're using. You have your female that you want to get bred by the new male. Put both males in there. Okay, a good breeding male, the new male. Put them both in there. Do not leave. Stay there. Give it a couple minutes. Watch them before any combat were to start. Okay, you're going to be saying something. You may get bit doing this. Pull the male out that is a good breeder that you don't want to breed that female. Put him to something else because he's pissed. He's going to want to get laid. So let him do it. And hopefully that will get that new male to feel like he just won something, right? And get the breed locks going. I've been successful at that too. But you don't want combat to start. You're not trying to get anybody hurt or head slammed or anything like that. You don't want them throwing coils on each other, like slamming each other around. You're wanting just to get those, it's like 2 males getting in an almost bar fight, and then the one male feels like he won something even though the bouncer stopped it. So that's what you're trying to do. Be the bouncer. You're going to be the bouncer. So that's what I can describe that. All right, what else we got? Sable, because I think it will look great with blackhead and acid. And now, Lindsay, that's exactly what I'm talking about right there. Instead of going what morph, it's what do I think is going to make a good combo and look good and look like what I think the market is after. And taking something like Sable, which I haven't worked with a lot, but I do have blackhead and acid as a new gene. That would be one that I might consider getting into. For everyone's asking what a good gene to invest into. I missed acid. All acid is going to drop too. All new genes are going to drop. But it's already taken the initial big kick in the pants, so I think it's going to be fine. Excuse me. So, but making the look you want, as opposed to more of the gene, is a really good example. And let me prove it to you. Okay, if you wanted to take the guy who's probably been the most successful recently in marketing his snake or marketing. Sorry, I bit my tongue. It hurts. I can't talk for shit. It'd probably be Canova, right? Or JKR, whatever we're going to call him today. He does an excellent job of that. And look at how he did it. He took something, he makes something that's really eye-catching. There's no new genes in it. It's a combination of genes we've had around for years. He puts that out there and markets that, and everybody goes batshit because it looks really good, and then he moves on to the next one. So that's my point. He's not chasing the market by I got to have gene X. It's how do I take the color palette I have, use it in a way that I think is going to be really cool, make something really awesome, and then market that, and then watch everybody chase those old things that they don't really have to get to where that is. See what I'm saying? So that's exactly what he's doing, and it's proven to be extremely successful. So I can't even take credit for that idea. Just you can go watch. He doesn't say that's what he's done, but just watch. You can see with red stripe and things like that. I have not seen a monsoon spider. I don't spend near as much time looking at morphs as I should because this next chunk of this season of my life, I have no time. It's just flat out truth, man. If I'm not working, whether I'm working doing this, and this is work for me, I love it, but it is work. I gotta schedule time to do these things, or I'm not working these animals, or I'm not working at my day job, or I'm not working getting my second career started, or I guess third career. I don't have time to do a lot of things. Once career one drops off, then I'll have more time to do some of that. But that's kind of right now. I'll pretty much wake up, my ass goes to work, and I'm either working or I'm playing, and there's really no in between. There's no research time right now, unfortunately for me. So I have not seen that. I haven't even seen the coffee gene. And I'm going to be blunt too. Some of these genes that come out that get these names and things like that, I would be very, very hesitant on some of them unless I can, because how many times have we had a new gene come out in the last 4 or 5 years, and then you wait and it's the same as another gene, right? Whether it is, like banana coral glow stuff, that was a long time ago, but there's been other ones. I mean, I end up being the same, or allelic, or just a different line, and something new comes out. I want to make sure it's not, coffee. It kind of looks fire-ish. So is it another line of fire? We already have fire and like ember and like flame, like 47 different lines of fire. I swear people just rename fires out there. And I think that happens in genes that hide. And what I mean is fire sometimes can hide a little bit, right? And so then it pops out in a gene that, or like an animal's like, oh, it's new. I don't know what this is. I'm going to call it this. And oh shit, it's just fire. And that's why when we have those new things pop up, similar to the Project Hellfire, we're working. We need to do diligent work to see if it's actually new or something that was just hiding and popped up or randomly popped up. Just my 2 cents. But anyway, I would always be a little cautious on some of that until I had a good idea that I was getting what I was getting. And I would want to talk to the person who had it and know what they've done with it to think like, if that's not transparent, I'm out. That's just, I've seen too many people get burned. If I can get the answers and it's transparent, then it's time to take that chance. If I can hear the story and know what's going on with that animal or that gene and how it's been worked and where it came from and everything in the background. And if somebody's going to sell you an animal that's expensive, they should take the time to tell you everything in the background. If they won't, that should be a red flag popping up for you right away. Because there ain't no son bitch on the planet here who doesn't have the time to take 10, 15 minutes and talk to you about a $4,000 or $5,000 animal. Okay? Not one. If they don't have the time for that, that should be a red flag. Don't deal with them. They should have the time for that, to talk to you about an animal that's expensive and new. They should. So, all right. So any more questions? We're at about 28 minutes and 45 seconds. I got about 4 or 5 minutes on here before I slide to Patreon. We talk about the next list that's coming out, which is going to be awesome. It's all made. It's all ready. I've already sent it to Anna. All I got to do now is post it. We're going to talk about the best day to do that with y'all. Y'all are going to have a hand in helping me decide when, because everybody's got holidays and shit, and I'm kind of trying to tread lightly on some of that. Well, it was produced by Nerd, so it may be something really cool, but let's be honest, Nerd has been one that's had 14 lines of fire and some other things. So, they have so much fun in that collection. It's so massive. I mean, it's not uncommon something's going to pop out or he has his own line of shit. So just, make sure it's what you want to invest in. That's what I would say. And Kevin knows his stuff. He's on top of a lot of shit, but I would always I would proceed on with caution no matter whose name it is that's on there. Kevin would give me some peace, but still. So my opinions on Super Black Pastel or Super Sim, other supers like that. If you're meaning supers in the 8-ball complex, I am not a fan. I'm not a fan because of the kinking issue. Now I've heard people say there's some lines out there that don't kink, and I would imagine if I could get somebody that has that line that's selling it, they could show me where it's been tracked back for 4 or 5 generations with no kinking, etc., etc., then I might be more open to that. I've heard, lower incubation temperature. I've heard all of this thing. So, well, if Nerd's line of Xanthic is compatible with VPI, then Nerd's line is VPI. It's not line, it's VPI. But anyway, I would always just, I avoid the super or the 8-ball complex super black pastel because of kinking. We can make a solid black snake using Suma without having to do that. That's my opinion, and that's what I started working toward. You can look. I have videos where I did try it, and I lowered the incubation temperature. I put it in its own incubator. I did all these things. Still make kinked up messes. So I took my shot. Didn't work. I'm out. And then Somerville Serpent said, no questions. Thank you for all you do for this community. Appreciate that. And all the information you share with us. And anyone who isn't on Patreon should be. Hey, I really appreciate that. Appreciate that too. Patreon's an awesome place. And it's great because you can buy and sell snakes on there yourself through our Discord. So what is my thoughts on the clown morph? Oh boy. So one thing I will tell you, and then I'm going to tell you, you're going to have to wait for a video series to come out about that because we do use clown for a specific example, some things on there. So I really can't talk too much about it without ruining the video series that's coming out, right? But I will say I have struggled with clown, not because I don't like clown, because it's just, we had a bad situation with our clown, with caramel being in there, another kinking gene that we didn't know was in there. We knew it was possible in 4 females. We didn't know it was a male. And then that male that we have is just, he's genetically bad. So we do not use him anymore. That limits us to 1 clown male, which we're trying to get the clowns up and going. We probably have to add some new clown blood to our collection eventually, which I don't think will be hard, to be honest. And so that's where I'm at. And we're going to get to that. And as far as clown being the bomb, Anna, we're going to get to that in that next video. I promise. It is cool, but I don't know if it's the bomb, and you'll see why. There was something I found in the middle of a video that I found very, very surprising. Then when we release that video, you'll see. So what are my thoughts on the spider gene? Just picked up a Pastave hypospot with no head wobble. So Giovanni Garcia, what I'm going to tell you is it does have a head wobble. And that's not necessarily a horrible thing. So don't get offended. I love spider. I'm a huge spider person. Anybody who knows me knows I love spider, right? But all spiders have a head wobble. The idea that you can breed it out doesn't exist. It's head wobble isn't what most people think it is. Most people are looking for this completely fucked up horrid spider. It's not usually the case. Sometimes they get super, I got a couple that when they're super excited get more wonky. Most of them are pretty good, but you'll see sometimes a little bit of a tilt. It's a slight tilt. That's actually part of the wobble. It doesn't hurt them. It doesn't really affect them. I think you got to carefully pick your breeders, and I think you'll be fine. Just make sure you're not putting them with anything that is not compatible with spiders, such as extra spider, champagne, all of those things. Blackhead is actually a lilac spider, and blackhead does cure the wobble, but it makes normal. So spider versus pinstripe, how to tell the difference, and what is the difference? Well, the difference is going to be the pinstripe is a much smaller line. The pinstripe has no wobble. As far as I know, there's been no confirmed super pinstripes. I know Barczyk talked about a super pin one time, but it may have gotten just lost through his collection. Hell, I don't know. So he'd know more about that than I would. But there is no lethal combos with pin. When you look at a pinstripe and you look at a spider, the pattern is vastly different. The pinstripe will be very thin, couple of scales. The spider's going to be a lot thicker, looks more like barbed wire. Plus, the spiders have the mustache on the head, the pins don't. Are you working pied? Love banana and pied. What others do you think look nice with pied? Banana's one of my favorite in pied. I actually just bought one, so I need another pied male. And yes, we're working pied. We did, I think, 3-4 pied clutches this year. 2 are visual pied, 2 are making hets. So definitely, yeah. So they has it been proven as a super pinstripe? Because everything like I said about the pinstripe was that the super looked just like the other one. They would throw all pins, and I haven't seen anybody actually have one that's been confirmed to throw all pins or look different. So that would be really cool because it should exist, but that'd be interesting. You'd think it would have been out a lot because I got pin to pin pairings, but it is what it is. The Xanthic pied, so it looks really good as a baby, but kind of as it ages a little bit, not as bad as like Clown Xanthic does. Clown Xanthic looks horrible as an adult. My first clutch is currently hatching. That's awesome. Congratulations. Welcome to the Grow Tent. First 2 out of the eggs are Orange Dream Yellow Belly Leo Inchy Clown and an Orange Dream Yellow Belly Clown so far. That is great. One thing I'll tell you guys, If it's your first clutch, things like that, and you're hatching things with, let's count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 genes in it, some of those genes like clown are going to be very, very easy to see. Let those things come out the egg before we decide exactly what's in them. Let them shed before we decide exactly what's in them. And then if you're not 100% certain, get somebody who's worked on morph to help you out. Because morph ID can be a bitch when you get a lot of genes in there. And it can be there's two schools of thought, okay? I'm in one of them. And that is, especially on the snake, I'm going to sell, okay? I would rather, if I think there's 4 or 5 genes in there, I'll say I think there's 4 genes, I know there's 3. I'm going to list it as a 3, and I'll talk about this other one to the buyer. Say, hey, this could be there, I don't know, so I'm only going to sell these 3. If I know there's 4, I'm going to list it as 4, obviously. What I don't do is know there's 3, think there's 4, go ahead and list it as 4. I would rather give my customer more than exactly, Daniel, right on target. Give your customer more, don't give them less, right? They're going to be a lot happier to find out there's an extra gene in there. And with your breed records, if somebody ever calls says, hey, this happened, yeah, it's probably this because this was a parent's, bam, right on target. They're going to be happy as opposed to being pissed when it ain't there. So that would just be one of the things, you see people, myself included, customer go, I think this is in it. It's honestly, guys, really hard to tell what all's in some of those babies. You're looking at the bellies and noses. Even when they first come out, sometimes it's like, well, I think this is all there. After their first sheds, or you're comparing tofinos, albinos, things like that, you need to give them a little time. And if you're not 100% sure on a gene, get some help. I do that still. Genes I don't work with a lot, I know people who do. I'll have them come back, hey man, take a look at this. What do you think? This is what I'm seeing. And they're like, yeah, I'm seeing that. Oh, why do you think you're seeing this? They're like, oh shit, I think I'm fucking it up. But, or Austin, what do you see? Just don't be afraid to reach out for that. So I've heard people say they get color locked. I've never had that problem. But try something else. Hell, go with a white one. If it eats a white one, then give it white ones. I mean, I don't try to make them do. I mean, we just kind of throw whatever, and but some people always had a mix. I think it helps when they don't imprint. But some people do say that's a thing. I don't know. We kind of poked fun at it at one time, but maybe it is. And not guaranteeing your morphs is fine. And I guess that's how you want to do business. But if I'm going to sell that morph, right, I would rather have more in it than what I said was in it. And I get less money because that's going to be a customer who's going to come back. If somebody calls me and says, hey man, you told me this thing was this 5 gene animal and only had 3, and I go, yeah, I don't guarantee it, thanks for your money, they're not going to buy from me again. Why would they? I mean, when you have those things go wrong, that's your chance to make good on something. But if I say it's got 3, maybe 4, but I know these 3 I'm going to sell it to you for the cost of these 3 and that 4th one's in there, they're going to come back because they feel like they got a deal, right? That's what we want. So, there you go. That's awesome. I'm glad you got it. Black Label Morphs. It works like a charm, and I can't take ownership. It's something I learned in the forums a long, long time ago. I wish I could remember who wrote it, but it's just one of those things you learn and you pass on through. So I'm glad it worked for you. All right, guys, it's 38 minutes. So we are going to hop up off here and slide over to Patreon. I'm going to answer the last question from Social Serpent here in a moment. But before I do that, I want to say thank you guys so much. If you haven't joined Patreon, think about it. And if you like these Q&A videos, let me know so that way we keep doing them. All right, and the last question was, once you put your eggs in the incubator from day 1, how often do you check them? So the reason I'm chuckling at that is because I think it kind of depends, right? When I was new, man, I was like fucking checking them things every day, like every 40 minutes, like, how are you doing, And now that I don't want to say getting a set of eggs, no big deal. It's still a big deal to me. I still love getting eggs. I kind of put them in there, and I may check on them once or twice. There'll be a day where I'll be like, okay, I got 20 clutches in there. I'll just kind of peek at each clutch. And all I'm really looking for is usually if my nose tells me there's an egg bad, then I go through. Like, that's kind of a sign. And then every now and again, like, say every couple of weeks, I might check for moisture. Make sure my moisture is still good in my tubs. Add some moisture if needed, right? That's about it, man. That's kind of how I do it. And part of that's just you get used to it. When I was new, I checked almost daily. The one thing I would caution you is when you have that closed environment, right, with those eggs, and you got your humidity right, and everything else, the more you're opening that temperature and the more you're getting in there, the more those temperatures are swinging and everything else. So do be careful of that. Try to resist the urge to check them every day. Try to let them say, okay, I'm going to check them on Tuesdays, or I'm going to check them if you can't do it once a week, like twice a week, and pick your days and do it. But that's what I would say. So, all right, guys, I'm going to get off of here. Thank you guys so much, and I will see the rest of you over on Patreon.